I work with HD, so again, but how did they fail so miserably 20 years ago when they said, hey, look at this distribution world, we're going to move into it, and a lot of you remember that, and how scared we were, and they failed miserably. And I'm just going to bring it, why? They moved into a market segment and they said, wow, and this is, I'm just going, let's see what it's going to cost us. And they looked at everything from the profitability standpoint. And what did they end up doing? Ranking the items right away and going, oh, well, we don't need the C's and D's because they don't make us much money. You guys with me? And it didn't take long for contractors to come in, and when they come in, they go, I come in here, I get the A's and B's, but I always have to go from here to what? Somewhere else to get all the other stuff that they didn't carry breadth and depth because they're only watching profit. So what I'm bringing back within reason in today's world, I would concentrate on what customer experience do you want to offer. Make sure you set your system up and you will make, within reason, be more profitable than you've ever been in the past. All I'm trying to say is don't let always the analysis, paralysis by analysis type thing, and I'm not going to add the extra $100,000 in inventory even though that's exactly what we need to shore up our customers. Now there's some indirect ways. We just did it with a company last week. We said their ASQ was off, the customer experience wasn't there, so what did we do? We changed some parameters and it's going to get ready to order. We ran the RAR ahead of time. What's it going to order before? We ran the RAR after. And we knew exactly it's going to now want to fill in $100,000 worth of product. We worked that through and said, does it work? So I don't want you to get a cash flow surprise. But I don't want you to come back and go, yep, we need $100,000 for the service we want to offer our customers. But we're not going to put the $100,000 in. I'm okay with that, but then don't go down the expectation you're going to offer that customer experience. I know that's not the answer, but I'm going to lead you back to drive customer experience at the lowest cost to serve are our best modeled companies today, within reason. And if you notice, I'm just going to put it up here. Here was customer experience. Here was profits. I'm not saying move from here all the way over to here where that's your only thinking. Andrew, I just want you to move over to this side and make smart decisions, reasonable investments based on what customer experience you want to offer. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So again, multi-level, and it's also by path. What I transfer in from another branch and what I get from a vendor may not be the same parameters. Example, when I get from a vendor, the usage is fluctuant from the customer and the lead time is fluctuant because of the vendor. So let's say I'm going to put 50% on my A items. Half of that's for usage fluctuations and half of that's for my vendor fluctuations. Everyone there? As soon as I go into warehouse transfers, who controls that lead time? We do. It's no longer external to us. We shouldn't have the same fluctuation. We should be able to control our transfer and say, in general, they're there in 7 days, always, or 5 days. There shouldn't be a lead time fluctuation. So therefore, if 25 of that was for usage and 25 of that was for lead times under the vendor world, I still need that for my usage, but theoretically, for warehouse transfers, I don't need that. Now, we got to get back to reality. Are we perfect? No. We are going to have some lead time fluctuation, and you'll see this in one of the slides. You'll go, oh, that's what it is. 35%. I run companies often with a 50% on A's for things we get from the vendor, and if we show up their internal lead times, only 35% for internally transferred things because we have control of one of those mechanisms that was fluctuant a moment ago. That's what this is talking about. The same parameters of something that we get from a vendor may be different when we get it internally. Everyone good? Okay. And again, you're going to see these. These are examples. You can read down it. These are all the different things that we're going to use this multi-level for and other things. And we'll bake through all of those as we go through today and tomorrow. So now, just a big picture. On SX, the big one, ICSR. That's the smart parameters that we're talking about. Then you have warehouse maintenance, ICSD, product line, and then the actual product. And again, don't worry, we're going to go through each one of these. I'm just kind of putting it out there as a summary so you can see it up front. And facts, you have the smart parameter maintenance, which again is their replenishment parameter maintenance. You have product line maintenance, which some of that's in replenishment, some of it's in review cycle setup. And then you have product maintenance, which is the item file maintenance, and the warehouse item file maintenance, and some of the replenishment parameter maintenance. Where I'm getting ready to go, because a lot of times when you're getting ready to set up things, all of you go, God, there's these bazillions of things. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paths here that we're really concerned about. And here I have 1, 2, 3, 4 things that is feeding everything. Replenishment maintenance, review cycle setup, item file maintenance, and warehouse item file maintenance. It's my job to bring those together for you, but I just don't want you to think it's this huge bazillion things I've got to go in and touch. Now, I'll be the first one to say, SX, because of the way they rewrote it when we did this, they kept the old intact. Because when they did this a while back with me, they're going, we think some of our customers are still going to want to run it the old 80s style grant. So they made everything so you could do the old SX or the new AIM. So there's a lot of stuff in there. Which way do you want to go? And I said, don't do this. Don't spend your time. It's a lot of extra programming because I go, once people learn about this, you won't have anyone that wants to run the old way. Why would you? When you have a better way, they still did it, and within about 2 years, they're going, we should have listened. Besides you not getting up on your upgrade being the reason, everyone wanted to run and wants to run the new way. Fax, when they got to that, they just threw out the old way for the most part, and it's the new way. It's just brought up to date. So fax is easier to walk through. It doesn't have the old and the new mixed in. A+, it still has the old new, but it's broken very cleanly into the old IM&P. Who's my A+ users? You know what I'm talking about. You got the IM&P side, that's the old, or you have the AIM, which is the new, but they're very distinctful. You're one or the other. SX, you'll get a little bit of confusion, old or new, but I'll walk you through that. So again, there's this hierarchy. It first checks the IC in SX. It says go down to the item warehouse level. If I have a parameter there and I told this item to run with a B backwards 12, this particular item, that's what it will use. It says, oh, if they didn't override me here, check the ICSR product line. If there's nothing there, check the ICS vendor, warehouse, and finally go up to our default answer. So it's going to use the best answer it can as deep as you placed it, eventually working its way up to your general company parameters. Same thing with fax. It's called the scope. All right, and it's going to do the same exact thing. It's going to start at the warehouse. It's going to move to the vendor. It's going to move to the purchasing line. It's going to move to the item, and then it's going to move to the item warehouse. I'm only setting up parameters down here if the general parameter is not working. 95% of your stuff will be able to be set up right here at the warehouse level and let it populate all your items for you. SX, 98%, 95% will be able to be set up right here, and it's going to do everything for you. You'll have few things at these lower levels. Anything we need to talk about before we move into it? Okay. So now, just to show it to you, this big picture part. Now, what I did with fax, because there was a couple things, I just cut and paste some screens together. This is fax replenishment product maintenance. Again, here's those scopes we just talked about. And again, it says what level do you want to set it? And right now, I just highlight it. Here's our usage. How do you want to set up threshold minimums? How do you want to set up the trending parameters? Do I allow it to trend up to 200% or 250? How much will I let it trend down? Let's set up the usage month for seasonal items. Let's set up the usage months for non-seasonal. And most of you are going to start here at the highest level and only come down and put in lower levels out of necessity. All right? And again, I was just pulling everything in. There's a lot of things that are in here. How do I set up my alerts? But it's all in one stop for our fax users. You come in there, pick what level, the scope, what parameter are you working on? You go in it, and you'll see these as we go through. So it's one stop there. In SX, still the same thing. This is ICSR. And what you've got now, a little bit different but same. I've got a company, a warehouse, a vendor, and a product line level. So the 4 levels I can set this up as. And I've got some tabs. Let's set up ranking. We can set up the usage. We can set up the rounding, the buyer's control center priorities, the exceptions, the adjusters, the lead times. So this is just setting up the parameters. Okay? We're going to walk through these. Any questions on how this hierarchy, is that making sense with everyone? You're going to set up your company hierarchy and only change it to a lower level out of necessity. Probably for most of you, the first 3, 4, 6 months, you can go back in 15 minutes, reset your company parameters, forecast through. 15 minutes later, you will be running better than you ever have in the past.